but it hasn't been doing it lately. So sorry about that. No, we
No
may have
worries,
missed like
no
the
worries.
first minutes there, but we got it now, so we're good.
Yeah, that's definitely it.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I gotta move the window. Okay, a nurse working in a medical practice earns $40,000 per year. Has a living net worth of 60,000. She overhears some doctors in her office talking about hedge funds and interested in using her cash to make sure the hedge funds are high risk. It's going to be like I automatically know it's a high risk security, so I know one has to be involved.
For sure.
That's how I'm trying to go into that. I know that's going to be important with how their tests are set up, right?
Here's the thing. This frustrates some people. I think you might see like one or two questions that are structured like this. Like maybe, in fact, I think a lot of people will go their entire exam and not see this. FINRA
That
does
would
this on
bother
certain
me.
exams. Yeah, yeah, I know that, but I think that the vendors do this because they're really packing. If you think about it, they're packing like two questions into one on this. Um, I don't think you're going to see a lot of these. On the 7, you might see more. On the 66, you're going to see a lot of these. So just it depends on the test you take. So
Um, okay, it's a high risk security. It can be a high return, but that's no guarantee.
mhm.
Definitely only available to accredited investors.
Yep,
And it's not like a mutual fund. Well, it
totally.
kind of is like a mutual fund in a way. It has active management, but that's
Yep.
about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I mean, but it lacks the regulation of a mutual fund. It's like, I mean, there are a bunch of little things that make it big. Here's another thing you might see about hedge funds. Hedge funds a lot of times have those lockup periods, and I can't remember if we talked. Have we talked about that?
I've generally known that with
Yeah.
with a hedge fund, you put your money in a hedge fund, it's got to be there
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a
I mean,
while, and you're not allowed to pull it out.
can't
And
pull it out.
like in The Big Short, he can just basically say cut it off, period, and
Yeah.
go ahead and sue me.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, he's like, yeah, cut off the redemptions. Yeah, that's what it was, and he thought everyone thought he was crazy, but
Because he was getting they had that thing where he's getting sued, and they're wheeling
yeah,
out. But
no,
yeah, and she's definitely not an accredited investor because
yeah,
an accredited investor, it doesn't have her income in there, but it's if she was married, it's 300,000 for 2 years, 200,000 it single for 2 years,
mhm, yeah,
and or have a net worth of $1 million.
yeah,
And
yeah,
isn't it institutions of 5 million plus?
yeah, yeah. So institutions that are 5 million plus, or any other yeah, yeah. How about this? I'm gonna keep it. That's as much as you need to know. I was gonna go further in the weeds.
So
Like,
is
yeah,
that how the little firm that I worked at, how we were able to have access to institutional shares?
yes,
Okay.
yes, that is exactly.
Well, I
Um,
remember, and we'd have like with Mainstay, we had to pledge that we were going to put like $1 million into
yep.
their fund.
There you go.
But
There you go.
one of the things I saw in here with the limited trading, the limited power of attorney, and the full power of attorney.
Uh huh.
I know you were at Fidelity. Do you know the level one trading and level two trading?
Are you talking options,
It's
or are you talking just trading in general?
just on a discretionary account where
On
you can
discretionary account?
place trades at the limited power of attorney.
Yeah.
And then
We didn't call it that. We call it. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but we just call it full or limited. Sorry, but
no, I know. I
yeah.
just only thing it just reminded me on your old fidel on the old institutional fidelity forms. It had
Okay.
level one trading would basically give us limited power of attorney,
Oh, you know what?
and
You're right.
level two
Mm.
gave us access to be able to the funds.
Yeah, you're right. I think certain of our forms, some of our forms did have that. Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I just, depending on the form you fill out, but yeah, it's still referring to the same thing. The question is, are you the person you're giving the power of attorney to? Can they pull money out of your account or not? That's really what you're asking. So, does that make sense though?
But yeah, when I instantly saw that, that's just how I'm in my head. I was just wondering if you remembered because I knew you're at Fidelity.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I just,
I close my eyes and I see NFS and Fidelity. So
yeah, no, I know. I mean, if you ask me like a lot about I mean, here, my first 2 years, I could have put like told you like to answer that question right away. But my last 8 to 9 years with them was just strictly helping people pass these exams. So kind of stuck in test world if that makes sense. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. A long-term customers purchase securities in a margin account and is a temporary cash. Customer tells the registered rep that he cannot pay on settlement, and the registered rep offers to whoa, that is prohibited. Period.
Yeah. Every time, like I know, I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing we're missing here. Customer tells the registrar about he cannot pay on settlement. Registrar offers no lend the customer. No, not at all. You can't lend customers money. Period. So,
I
bottom
mean,
line.
the only way that'd even be remotely possible is if they had a previous relationship, but
Yeah,
that's involving securities, so you can't
exactly.
loan money for the account. That'd have to be, hey, can I borrow some money for a quick down payment on a car?
Yeah, yeah. Now the thing I was looking out for, which I'll probably stop saying prefacing this, but this is more seven territory. But if you can't pay on settlement, let's say you buy a stock and you can't, and just for whatever reason you just can't make the payment by settlement, one of two things will happen. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's the free riding.
Free riding, right? So number one, either you're slapped with a free ride, and do you remember what comes along with that?
They're going to sell the securities to cover it, and then they're going to lock your account for 90 days.
Good. Lock your account. And just to be clear, because I've seen some nitpicky questions on this. They'll use the word freeze, but it doesn't. Like a lot of people think that like you're not doing anything in that account, but you can. Freeze just means that you have to have the cash in the account before you make your next purchase. You can't trade on good faith, as they say it. So that's number one. But number two, here's the other thing that they don't really mention, but it is testable. Technically, if the firm wants to call FINRA, or like if it's FINRA, if it's OTC, or if they'll call an exchange, if it's the exchange, if your broker dealer wants to call the regulator and ask for an extension on the trade, they can. I never heard of Fidelity ever doing that once, even for like our multi millionaire. So it is an option. The broker dealer can request an extension from what they call the SRO, the responsible SRO. It would be FINRA if it's OTC. It'd be MISE if it's like an exchange or whatever exchange you're talking about. So okay, so they might mention that. Come on.
With the New York Stock Exchange, that's going to be FINRA, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's complicated, but like if you think FINRA is kind of the mold. FINRA is a combination of both like of NYSE rules and NASD rules together. That's kind of like they merged those two regulatory agencies together as like one, and that's where FINRA came out of. But if we're talking about settlement, or if we're talking about extensions on trades, the New York Stock Exchange still oversees that to us, even though the regulatory unit that oversees like manipulation and fraud, that's handled by FINRA. A lot of the settlement and the logistics of trading is still handled by the New York Stock Exchange. So I would say in that example, the New York Stock Exchange would consider that extension request. But if it's anything in the OTC markets, that's more FINRA's territory. If that makes sense, yeah. Never anything I'd expect you to see on the seven, in case you're wondering, or seven or SIE.
Now, customer holds 100,000 negotiable security deposits. Those are issued in $100,000 denominations, right?
Yep, minimum. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. The customer has inquired about alternative investments. All right. To make it suitable, well, that kind of falls into the know your customer.
Yep.
You definitely need another liquidity requirements because you're probably going to lock money up, possibly.
Good.
You need another tax bracket, definitely.
Yep.
And you need to know how any of their other investments. It's D.
Yeah, you got it for sure. I mean, there's no other reason. I mean,
that just falls into basic suitability.
that's basic suitability. Perfect.
Fiduciary
Yep.
requirements. Ooh. Purchase a call. So to purchase a call means you're long a call. Right?
Correct. Purchase, buy, and long are synonyms. Yep.
They are hoping that the stock is going to go up because they can buy it at a set price. It is a bull strategy.
Awesome. Feeling. I know we with the option. You feeling a little bit better about those?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's just like let it sit and then just come back to it, and it's just something I'm just daily making sure that I look at.
Yeah. And
call
again,
up, put down.
Call up, put down. Love it.
I've found a couple other ones about like remembering the different interest rates and stuff like that.
Good. I mean, again, you don't. By no means do you need to be an expert on options going into the SIE, but when we come across the seven, we'll dive deep into it because I think you're going to see a fair amount of them there. But good. We need this exhibit window, don't we? Okay, so let's see if I can put both. No, I'm not gonna be able. Okay, so I'm gonna try to squeeze both on the same screen. So the certificates issued by Southwest Railroad, they're trying to figure out like what's the deal, and let's see if we can. Okay, if you just look at 1 and 2, the first question is it secured or unsecured?
Wow.
Yeah. Um,
This is an interesting question.
it is, and
I've never seen.
another thing that I don't really like about Past Perfect, Past Perfect is notorious for these exhibit windows where you look at like a million different things. Maybe some 1 out of 10 people will tell me they see one exhibit window, and they're usually pretty basic. So I wouldn't be terribly concerned about that. I think this is a good learning part here, but just yeah. Um,
Okay.
so I guess
So
the question,
it's a
secure,
new issue.
yeah, okay.
It's it's an equipment trust. So somebody is putting up the Southwest is putting up their trains essentially as collateral
Hmm.
for this.
Yeah. So between 1 and 2, what do you think?
The
Secured?
the, the risks of that would be what depreciation risk?
Yeah, yes, but at the same time, I think we talked about this. These equipment trust certificates are almost always issued in serial format. So you have certain bonds,
Yeah.
right, mature. They set it on a schedule to line up with the depreciation of the asset.
Okay. It's secured because it's an equipment trust. So we
For
know that.
sure. Hmm.
And it's backed on real property.
Look at layer 3 and 4. Do you see like?
My window. Oh, I gotta move my
Do you,
window.
oh, sorry. Do you see?
No, no, no. It's not. It's
Yeah,
my window.
yeah. Okay.
Um, backed by a lien or equipment owned by the issuer. Okay, it's 4.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if you saw
1
both
and 4.
together, yeah, you got it there. Backed by equipment. I mean, the only thing I would say, this is probably a mortgage bond, if you remember reading that anywhere. Mortgage bond is a bond where the issuer is pledging real estate that they own. And that's
Okay.
probably what they're talking about there. But I mean, looking at this, yeah, this sure enough, it's an equipment trust certificate, and sure enough, it is a serial issuance here, right? Because we have different maturities. We have a bunch of different maturities, all with different maturities and different yields. Um, looking at that, I mean, do you have any questions about this? I might be able to answer for you, or do looking at this, does this kind of make sense?
No, that makes sense.
You don't need to know too much about it anyway, so we'll just keep going.
I was able to at least pull out what I needed to
There you go.
on it. Oh, one is true.
Hmm.
So that eliminates 2. So, oh. Um, Number 3 would be a 529. Any adult, regardless of income. There's no income limits. There could be contribution limits depending on the state,
Good.
gift tax,
Good.
unexpected funds. Because it has to be used. It has to be used by 30, and if they don't use it, you can send it to the next person,
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
So it's 1 and 4.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. If you make too much money, you just can't put money into a Coverdell. So yeah, you got it. I mean, you solid. Any questions on any part of Coverdells?
No,
Okay, good.
there it is. C.
Good. Good. I mean, just speak of the devil, huh?
But yeah,
Yeah.
529. It's a state, the primary market. Sale of new issues.
Yeah. For the first time, right? That is what it is. Good.
Trading automatically. Nope, can't be.
Yep. You got it.
No trading. Under age 50. is going to be 6,000. Or hold on, for a married couple,
Mm-hmm.
it's 12,000.
They can be tricky with these questions. You got it. Yeah. So yeah, you got it. They're going to combine them both together. Of course, they're going to put them in separate accounts, which you probably already know. But yeah, they put them in separate accounts, but still 6,000 each.
And if they ask, only one of those has to have the earned income. The other one could technically
Yeah,
be,
yeah. That's what we refer to as the spousal IRA.
yes.
Yep,
She could be a homemaker, and it doesn't matter as long as
yep,
I've made enough earned income.
yep. You got it.
Oh, under MSRB rules to make a suitable recommendation or sufficient knowledge of the customer, grading recommendations to the customer, which of the finds is true. See,
Is it? Were you saying SEE or C as in the letter?
no, I'm just seeing.
Okay.
If the customer's unsolicited. Well, 3 is definitely right because if the customer insists upon making the trade, I mean, it's their money. Eventually, you have to make it.
Mm-hmm.
You can give all the advice in the world; it's still their money at the end of the day,
Yep.
and that's right that you have to note that they wanted to make this, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to mark it as unsolicited
Mm-hmm.
to cover your ass.
Yep.
So it's definitely 3. So 3 is definitely part of it. The customer insists upon executing. Yeah, that's 4. No, that would just not work. Now, they can refuse and recommend. I guess. Well, A.
Uh, I don't like 1. That's only 1. I'm glad we talked about this because I do think this is a fair game for the exam. Yeah, if they don't give you enough suitability information, you just you can't make recommendations. Period. Everything has to be unsolicited at that point in time. So
Okay.
yeah, so
No,
that's a
that makes sense.
yeah.
I was like disclose significant. Like, okay, I guess the word significant. If it was just minor,
Oh well, no, you're talking about this one, sufficient.
yeah, sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just yeah, they're. I mean, bottom line, like they want you to have a
It's a
full
must.
picture of
Yeah.
what it is they're going on. So even if they put in the word significant, I mean, I tell you the same thing. Like if you don't feel like you understand their full financial picture, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. So I'm gonna mark that. You're doing great. That's just the first one we've fallen short on so far. That's
But
awesome.
I see that it's 2. It's definitely 2, and it's definitely 2 and 3.
Oh no, it's 100% to it. I'm just gonna mark the ones
Yeah.
that just to keep track of how we're doing, which you're doing great. So
Which true statement regarding a minor? All right. Count upon. Okay, I gotta make sure I read. My phone started ringing. I just make my phone stop buzzing. Which true statement regarding a minor and a custodian count reaching legal age? It's A. The account becomes theirs.
for sure.
That's why most people, if they're going to do that, it's going to be some sort of trust.
Yeah, yeah. Or I would also say the if this was UTMA, it's possible that B could be the right answer. Um, there's differences between UGMA and UTMA, but the big difference between them is that UTMA's will allow the state to define what year you need to turn it over, and some states is as high as 25. Um, so I mean, probably the smarter option of not giving some 18-year-old a bunch of money. If you want to kind of hold off a little bit, let them grow up a little bit, yeah, put them to a UTMA. But yeah, you're right.
Okay. And negotiated municipal security. Which of the following is disclosed to the customers? Is it the spread?
Yes, I'm struggling a little bit with this one personally. That's got to be the answer. That's when they bring
I
up this. But sorry, go ahead.
that one was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, you don't ever disclose. You don't have to disclose the participation. You never have to disclose expenses. But I mean, here's the thing. Like, usually the name of the underwriter is disclosed to customers. Like, that's almost all. Whether it's competitive or negotiated, usually it's always like, hey, here's our underwriter. And at least that would go in something called the official statement. But I
Yeah,
guess now thinking about it, I guess if we're going into the weeds, official statement.
it
Like
doesn't.
if I, do you know
It
what that
doesn't.
is?
That's essentially they don't have to do it.
They don't. They don't. It's by law. I mean, the MSRB can't regulate issuers, but the MSRB regulates professionals like you and me or anyone dealing in the municipal market. If we're registered and we're a representative working in the field, um, that they disclose. The MSRB controls that, but no MSRB rules don't control issuers. They don't control like governments. Um, you don't have, just like you said, you don't have to create an official statement, but almost every municipality when they sell a bond does. But the bottom line is that this is almost always what they want you to get across in a negotiated underwriting where the municipality is not necessarily picking the underwriter based upon cost. Like they might be going with a more expensive underwriter. They do have to disclose the spread, which is just a fancy way of saying how much they're paying the underwriter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Competitive, they would not. Does that click? Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay, like competitive, or let's just start with just competitive versus negotiated. Like, how do you how well do you feel with the difference between the two?
Essentially, a competitive is where a bunch of underwriters can be bidding, and they have to go with the lowest bid.
Exactly.
They're bidding on the yield.
Yeah.
They're going to pick the lowest yield.
The one that comes with the lowest price tag or the cheapest option to the issuer. Exactly. Now with a
And
competitive, sorry, go ahead.
competitive, that's just going to be they're just going to pick the one they like to use.
Yeah, yeah. Or negotiate. Yeah. So, com-
Hold on, I got them backwards.
No, I think it just you only messed up on the last word there. So no, you said everything right with competitive. They're taking the cheapest one, and then negotiated is just they pick the underwriter they like, not necessarily based on cost.
And then that's why they would have to disclose that.
Exactly. And that's a good topic to kind of cover. I definitely want to look at this one and see why maybe what their justification would be is maybe it goes back to that official statement that's usually where that goes, and technically they don't need to disclose that. So
Did they give a reason?
I'm sorry.
Will they give a reason?
They will. They do. They have explanations. They just don't give them right away. So yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
The customers made multiple purchase. You're going to get a 1099A. The, the client, maybe. Hold on, what? I'm trying to remember if it's first in or first. I think it's first in, first out. I'm guessing that's no.
No,
It's not.
no. I thought you were still. I didn't want to plug it in if you weren't ready. Yeah, you're right. That's first. It's FIFO.
I thought. It. I'm just gonna take a wild guess that it's a 1099B for broker.
Good, good, solid. To be honest, I don't even know what the 1099A is. I'd have to look that up, but it's not
I
anything
think
that
1099As is what you get, like normal people get.
is that like. Let's see if they're
Like,
1099A. Homeowners typically receive Form 1099A from their lender after a home has been foreclosed upon. There you go. Okay. So it is a form. Okay. But yeah, 1099B, B stands for brokerage proceeds. So yeah, brokerage, yeah, brokerage proceeds. So yeah, and I guess one thing to point out here is that yeah, you any kind of any of your capital gains or capital losses when you sell something is on 1099B. You also have your 1099 DIV, that's dividends, 1099 INT, that's interest. And maybe one other thing to point out here about the FIFO is that yeah, if you don't specify it as a customer, like what shares you're selling, then it's defaults to FIFO.
I was gonna say I always sell tax lots.
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing this what they call specific shares identification, where you're picking and choosing which specific ones you're going to sell. That's completely within. You can do that, but if you don't tell the system what you're doing, it's just defaults to FIFO. So,
What is default LIFO?
um, the only thing that you need to worry about is variable annuity taxation, which is not even going to be a thing on the SIE. It's a 7 thing. I don't think you'll see it on the
Right,
SIE.
that's on any withdrawals. Would get
Yeah, yeah.
withdrawn first.
So like just as a quick example, I mean with non variable annuities most of the time are non-qualified, so you're putting money into the account, you're not getting any tax break when you put money into that account, so you're really putting like another way of saying after tax money into the account, right?
It
So if
gets the
you
direct tax deferred.
yeah, exactly. So I put $10,000 after tax in, and then let's say it grows to, I don't know, 15,000. If you were to pull, let's say you pull $8,000 out of the account at that point in time, you would pay LIFO would give you the $5,000 taxable stuff first, and then everything else is tax free after that.
Okay.
Okay? That's the only place you have to worry about LIFO.
Okay.
Pretty much everything else I've ever bring this up is
It
FIFO.
defaults
So
to FIFO.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Which of the following is subject to registration? Is it ADR?
Hmm. 100%. You got it. Any?
Because municipals are exempt.
Hmm.
Foreign government debt.
Exempt as well. I mean, they don't go terribly far into this with the SIE, but so U.S. government, any level is exempt. Canadian government, any level is exempt. Foreign government, as long as it's as long as it's the national government. So like, France could sell a bond here, but Paris couldn't.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Without it being registered, I should say. Maybe one other caveat with the foreign government: it has to be a government we're okay with. We
Yeah.
have, they call it
Can't be
sovereign
Syria.
relations. Yeah, it can't be Syria or Iran or anything like that. So, um, but yeah, and then euro dollar. Do you know this is something that I don't think you'll see in the SIE, but you might see it on the 7. Have you read that
I,
before? What euro
you know,
dollar debt is?
um, I get them. I get them mixed up. That
Um,
is that the one where they're buying American securities and their money?
Kind of. I mean, I'd have to switch just one thing on there, but euro dollar bond, which is usually what they'll call them, is when a U.S. issuer sells a bond in outside the United States. And really the big characteristic there is actually they sell the bond in US dollars. Like, Ford does this all the time. Ford actually did this in Germany like not too long ago, where they went and they sold a bond in Germany. It was denominated in US dollars, and the reason why they're able to do that is because US dollar is kind of like the go-to currency of the world, right? So still
Mhm.
we're still have the default currency of the world. So it is a bond. But given the fact it's sold outside the United States to foreign investors, the SEC doesn't care about it unless it's an American or it has anything to do with American related stuff.
And then an ADR is buying essentially stock that's not traded in the United States.
Yeah,
So
foreign
if I'm going to
stock.
buy Nintendo,
Hmm. Yeah.
it'll be an ADR.
Is it Nintendo? Yeah, Nintendo
Yeah,
might be one.
Nintendo's not here.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're an ADR, but like the one that I deal with this in my own account is Honda. Now, Honda's a Japanese kind of company here. They trade on the Tokyo Exchange, but if I want to buy them in the United States, I can do it. I can buy it just like a regular stock here. I'm glad we brought that up. It sounds like you get it, but surprisingly enough, I'm hearing almost every single person that sits for the exam is telling me they're seeing a couple questions on ADRs. So
What else could there like?
what else could they test on?
It's a foreign security that's traded in the United States. It's traded over the counter.
Yep. Yep. Let me put it this way. They can also trade on exchanges. Like I believe Honda, for instance, I'll have to look this up to confirm, but I believe Honda is on the New York Stock Exchange. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they can. Yeah, Honda is listed on the New York Stock Exchange, so they can be listed on exchanges or they can trade OTC, one or the other, or both, I guess I should say.
So I guess they would be listed. They'd be listed on an exchange. Period. Then.
Yeah, they could be. I mean, but also they could just be pure OTC and not listed on exchange. Just depends.
But they're listed.
I'm just trying to.
think.
The word listed means it's listed on an exchange, right? Like, meaning that like it's met certain requirements for it to trade on something like the New York Stock Exchange, and it's only the bigger well-established companies that usually meet those listing requirements. So what I'm saying is it could be, maybe not. There are unlisted ADRs out there.
Okay.
But
the main things are what?
Main things. So you already said the main things. I'd say be aware of the fact that even though customers buy and sell these in U.S. dollars, there still is currency exchange risk. That's something I'd tell you to be aware of. Like we might have to talk about the why if that doesn't make sense.
No, it's because you never know what could happen at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And here, and I also say it usually relates to dividends, right? Like when Honda, if Honda pays a dividend to me as a shareholder or an ADR holder, what happens is that they make that payment to the investment bank that holds those foreign shares. That investment bank behind the scenes converts that over to dollars and then sends that to me as the investor. Mm-hmm. So if there's a bad conversion rate, then yeah, I could there's some risk there.
What about political risk?
You could see that. I don't think I've ever seen a question where they bring up political risk with that, but certainly, I mean, it's a foreign security, and let's say the Japanese government imposes some kind of regulation on Honda, that's going to affect my ADR for sure. Or if there's something going on with the foreign government, that's something I might have to worry about for sure.
Or they get all imperial again.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Zeros flying around.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
I'm trying to think of like what else they might cover with ADRs. I mean, that's understanding that it's just a regular, it trades here in the United States. You can buy and sell it, no problem, just like any other stock. I think that's the majority of it.
It falls under registration requirements.
It's just like any other stock. Exactly. Cool.
1933. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All of the following are determining factors in making a competitive bid for municipal securities accept.
Might be a little in the weeds for the SIE, but we'll cover it.
Determining, and they're talking about from the underwriter perspective here.
Yeah, I would think of this as like if the underwriter is going to make a bid, like what do they factor in to like what their bid looks like?
Maturities,
mm-hmm.
I think. Look around in the market to see how marketable it'll be. Mm-hmm. You'll market. And I guess the amount of good faith. Well, no.
Have you seen that before?
You're not going to bid on a bond that's going to be crap.
Yeah. I bet you they're going to go with B on this one. I mean, have you seen good faith check? Have you seen that? I'll go and answer D on this one. But like, have you seen that before? Good faith check.
It popped in. I've seen it. And it like pops into my head.
Gotcha. So Good faith checks. I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, is just it gets rid of like any kind of dinky or just it gets rid of any underwriters that are not serious from showing up to this bid. So what a good faith check is it's in order to bid on an issue, you usually need to show up to that bid with a check or with like a payment equivalent of 1 to 2% of the issue. So
Okay.
if it's like $100 million issue, you're showing up with like a payment of $1 million. It's just kind of a deposit. It's just it'll be returned to you if you don't win the bid, but it's just showing that like you're serious about this type of a deal.
I guess I was more thinking what was popping in my head, and I guess when I saw that was the credit worthiness.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully that makes sense a little bit, like what it is.
But
Yeah.
the
Okay.
types of bonds that's not going to matter.
Yeah. Well,
It's a municipal bond.
I would say
Well,
let's
I guess that there could be different types of municipal bonds.
different types, right? Like geo bonds have different risk profiles than like revenue bonds. So like if it's let's say it's a revenue bond that comes with some risk, you might be dealing with something that requires a higher yield if that
Yeah.
clicks. So yeah, that's the idea there.
Okay. Which of the following terms apply to publicly traded shares? Well, it's not a continuous stock issuance. It's issued once. That's a mutual fund or units inside of a variable annuity.
Hmm.
Um, redeemable goes back to mutual funds too. So it's negotiable because supply and demand
Hmm.
and a one-time issuance.
For sure, 100%. Any questions on that?
No.
Yeah, you got it.
Which of the statements are true regarding participating preferred stock? Participating preferred. Can it get extra common? Can it get extra dividends declared by the board?
I don't like the way they phrase that, but I mean, it's that's what they're looking for. Yeah, participating means that they're participating in the success of the company. I mean, a lot of times with preferred stock, you're just getting a fixed dividend rate, regardless of whether they're doing bad or they're good or what, as long as they can make the payment. So yeah, participating just allows you to make extra money on top of like your fixed rate, which I know I just gave away the answer there, um, but yeah, participating more, you're basically eligible to get more dividends if the company does well financially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any
So it has a dividend rate that is fixed to a minimum, not as a
mhm. Yeah, exactly. If the company does really well, you get extra, but you have your fixed dividend rate. They're gonna, I mean, the tricky thing with preferred stock is that they're obligating themselves to make that payment, but they're not legally obligated. Like if they have a tough year, they can skip a payment, as you know. That's why we talk about cumulative and versus straight. But yeah, I mean, they're basically saying, hey, if it's a 5% participating, they're going to pay you, 5% of whatever the par value is every year, and if they do well one year, they might pay you some extra, maybe.
and they don't have to pay. They don't have to pay that dividend.
No, they don't. They don't.
Okay.
Okay.
That's an interesting question.
Hmm.
You can't put antiques, art, and other collectibles in an IRA.
Hmm.
So 3 is gone. you, I guess you can put bonds. It's B. It's preferred stock and government bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the gold thing, there is a way to put. I've seen there's a way you can put gold inside of an IRA.
You
I
can.
have seen it because I had to research it. So
Yep.
when I saw that, but it's U.S. government gold coins. Generally, no, but I know there's a way to do it.
Yeah, you can't. So you can. There, it's like I forget the name. It's like U.S. American Eagle, U.S. There's a list. There's a list of approved ones, and they're literally like that. That's the way you buy gold in your account. You have to buy these U.S. government gold coins. Um, they're kind of silly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you feel about
If
gold,
you
but
want to own gold inside your IRA, you buy a gold fund.
yeah, buy an ETF or something. But yeah, if you literally want gold, you can. They just end up being pretty expensive because you're literally buying the gold coin, and then the brokerage firm has to retain it in like their storage somewhere. That they can't give you access to it because otherwise it's not considered held in an IRA.
Yeah.
So you have to pay storage fees and stuff like that. It's a big pain in the butt. I used to have to do that for Fidelity a lot, but
But so is it going to be C?
it is going to be C. You can hold it. It's a special list of gold coins you can hold in an IRA, but you can. It is possible. Yeah, yeah. Um,
That'd be interesting. I never even seen that in my STC book as far as
I,
securities held inside of an
I
IRA.
would tell you here, if you see that on the SIE, I would like you're like one in a million. This is one of those areas I just don't think you're going to see it on the SIE whatsoever. But yeah, yeah. Well, I'll stay with you. We'll review it just to see if they give us any extra context on that. But yeah, that's that one.
Oh,
Oh, good old option question. Okay.
okay. They're selling
Mm-hmm.
a put, so they're short 40, or they're short ABC at 40 for 6. So they got $6.
Mm-hmm.
They got $6 for the obligation to buy
Good.
the ABC at 40.
Mm-hmm.
And the market price is 30. That doesn't matter. The market falls to 25. The customer then sells the stock. So assigned?
Do you know what they mean by that?
Does that mean that they exercise the option?
Yeah, assigned is just the word. It's the same thing as exercise. Just the word. It's the word they use when we're talking about it from the seller's perspective. Like because the seller doesn't exercise, but they're assigned. Same thing though. Same idea.
So we were forced to go into the market and buy 100 shares at $40.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to turn around and sell them to him for $25. So if we cut out the premium right there, and there's $15 $15 per share without taking into account the premium. So that's what, $1,500. But we got $600 for selling this option.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be E900.
Solid. Awesome. You did it perfect. Nothing to add there. I mean, did that feel? I mean, any questions about what you did
No,
or?
it just goes slow.
Yeah,
Like you said, you just got to break it down
go
and
slow and just
make
take it.
chunks
Yep.
and figure it out. And I imagine that would probably be the most complex option question you'd probably see on an
I
SE.
think so. I think maybe they could throw you an option question that has stock with an option together, but yeah, I mean I don't think it's going to get much harder than this. Yeah, you're right. Good.
the nominal yield. The nominal yield is the coupon.
Mm-hmm.
It is C. It does not matter. It never
Doesn't
changes.
change. This is right there in the middle of the seesaw. You're right. Perfect.
When interest rates rise. Okay. Number one is definitely true because the longer the I can't use duration, the longer to maturity, because I know duration is different. Duration would be is talking about like the sensitivity. But I guess it would have a longer duration. So number one is definitely true
Mm-hmm.
because they are definitely affected more than shorter term are. So we know it has to be A or B. So price T-bill prices are affected more than T-bond. T-bond prices are affected more than. I'm gonna guess because T-bond have longer duration than T-bills, they would be more affected.
Mm-hmm.
So it is B
Got it. 100%.
because it's note, bill, bond, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You got it. 100%. Any
And 1 year, 2 to 10, and 10 to 30.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
And they're denominated in 30 seconds.
30 yeah, they're quoted in 30 seconds. In terms
They're
of
quoted because you'll see them like 18.15,
yeah,
which just means 18.15 over 30 seconds.
exactly. Maybe one other thing I'll add. I really don't think you'll see this. I mean, it's fair game though. In terms of denominations, we're usually talking about like par values. We're so used to bonds having a par value of 1,000, but they might ask you about the minimum denomination on a treasury, which is technically 100. You might
Okay.
see that. Yeah.
What is the cost basis to the receipt? It is B.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Essentially, you get a new cost basis.
You got it. On the day of the person's passing. Perfect.
Well, number one is only true for a no load fund.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's 0.75 is the maximum.
Great.
So that's definitely true.
Yep.
So now the 12B, it is imposed annually. So it is 2 and 4.
Perfect. Perfect. You got it. I mean, solid. Good old marketing fees there.
Yep. A corporation is issued convertible unsecured debt. Convertible ratio is 25 to 1. This bond is trading at a premium at 101.
Mm-hmm.
Company's common stock is at 38. Conversion price per share. Oh boy. The conversion price per share, isn't it 25?
That's the conversion ratio.
Ratio. So you get,
Yeah.
so for every, so for 10, so you're going to get 40 shares.
Mm, no, you get 25 shares if you convert it here, which is, I mean, just what they're telling you there. But um, it's normally in a question like this, they would tell you what the conversion price is, and they would need you to find the conversion ratio, which I think we've done this before, where like you take 1,000 and put it over the conversion price, and that gives you the conversion ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Have we talked about that?
A little bit.
Okay.
Convertible bonds are my book are not my thing. I
Yeah,
don't.
I get it. Yeah. So I don't really, to be honest, I don't even think you'll see this on the exam. But here, I'll show you the two formulas you need. To me, the more important formula between the two is definitely the conversion ratio. It's just they happen to they give you this in the question. So your conversion ratio formula is par over the conversion price. This conversion price. That's your conversion ratio formula, okay? But here's the thing: they gave us a conversion ratio which is 25 to 1. So if we convert this bond into shares of stock, we'll get 25 shares. One
Mhm.
bond gives 25 shares. Now the conversion price formula, conversion price formula is pretty. It's going to feel pretty similar. It's par over the conversion ratio. So they're inverses of each other. They're just kind of like same formula. So for this one, you're just doing kind of the same thing. You're just going to doing what the kind
So,
of the
a,
backwards version of it. Yeah,
so it's 1,000 over 25.
yeah, which will give you 40. Yeah. So I mean that's what you're looking for in this one. I mean conversion
Oh,
rate.
and you'd make $2 a share.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Essentially, yeah. Here's the thing with convertible bonds. This will probably be another area we want to go deeper into when we come across the Series 7. But for right now, like you're probably not even going to see a question on the exam. I think this is another overreach on Past Perfect's behalf. But you know, I screenshotted that. I'll send you these formulas so you have them. There you go. So
Okay.
yeah, this might be another area that STC doesn't cover. So just tell me if you've never seen these before.
Not not a ton.
Yeah, I don't think SDC
It's
covers this.
brief. It's real
Yeah,
brief.
it's
It's
real
enough.
brief. Okay. Um,
I know there's great tax benefits to it.
there are. There can be at least. Oil and gas programs. There's generally speaking, there's three of them. I'm gonna name a couple here. There's an exploratory one. It gives you,
Income and
yeah. You.
balance, isn't there?
I'm sorry.
It's balanced, isn't it? And it's the first three, isn't it?
I don't think there's one called balance unless I'm missing something here. In fact I don't even think, well I guess if income, yeah, no, okay, so there are three different types of oil wells, and they're all, in all circumstances you're trying to find oil in the ground, right? Exploratory, you're going in the middle of nowhere trying to find oil. You have what they call a step out, or what they might call a developmental well, which is, you're drilling somewhere close to where oil has been found, not exactly where oil has been found, maybe like a couple miles down the road. And then there's an income, or what they sometimes call a stripper well, which is you're literally drilling on top of like where oil has already been found. And they all come with different risks and rewards. The answer here they're looking for a C. Exploratory is one, in the middle of nowhere. Income is drilling somewhere where it's already been. Now you could find a program that does a little bit of both. Like maybe they're drilling in the middle of nowhere and they're drilling somewhere where oil has been found. I mean, that'd be a combination version of one. There's a balanced fund, but I'm not aware of a balanced oil and gas program.
So it's combination.
Yeah, yeah. Combination would be it. Like maybe I'm wrong. I mean, this will be one we can review for sure. So, um, how about this? I mean, what you answered 1, 2, and 3? Was that, or all of them? Was that the one? How about, just so we make sure we look at it. I'm just going to answer one only, just so like when we go back and review it, it'll be a wrong answer and we can look at it. So, I just want to make sure balance is not one. I've never heard them refer to a balanced one there. So, yeah.
All right. Which bond was about the greatest price volatility? It'd be the one with the longest maturity.
Hmm. Ooh,
Hold on.
I didn't. God, this one's. Hmm. Um,
Well,
you got two that are pretty close, but price volatility. Like there's actually two. Usually, the long maturity will get you to the right answer, but there's another aspect of it. I don't. Do you remember what it is?
no.
It's long and low. The longest. If you're looking at two bonds and you're trying to figure out which one will move the fastest in price, the ones with the longest maturity, and that's always the most important factor, is the longest maturity, but also the one with the lowest coupon.
Okay.
I bet you they're going to go with D on this one.
Uh-huh.
their argument's going to be, I mean, we can talk about why the lowest coupon if you want to. I mean, I think I can help you make sense of it if you need the context. But
Yeah,
the,
I
it,
definitely need context.
okay, so let's think about it. We kind of have to do a thought exercise here, where let's say that let's just kind of make up a scenario here. Let's say that we have a 10-year 5% bond, and then we have a 10-year, let's say it's a 10-year zero coupon bond. Okay. So both bonds are 10 years long. So we can't use that to figure out like which one's going to move fastest. But we have a 5% bond and we have a 0% bond. Let's say that interest rates go up. Let's just say they just go up. Okay. So with interest rates going up, we know that prices are going to go down. The
Mm-hmm.
question is like which one is going to go down further in price? Okay. Now with interest rates going up, the 0% bond is going to go down further in price because if you remember what long and low. Okay. Now the why. Why is that the case? Well, it's subtle, but that 5% bond is paying you money along the way, right? Paying you $50 every year. Yeah, interest rates went up, but part of your bond is paying you money along the way that you can then take and then roll back into the market at that higher rate of interest. Whereas that zero coupon bond has a locked in return, and you're not going to see any return from that money until the end of the bond. So you have no kind of offset there. Right? Like the fact that I might be able to take the money off that 5% bond and roll it into the market and get that higher rate of interest, maybe I can offset my some of my losses by doing that. Does that kind of make sense so far? What I'm saying?
A little bit.
Okay. How about this? I'll go. Maybe the other angle will help too. Like if interest rates go down, kind of from the same angle, same idea, but when interest rates go down, say they go down, um, that 0% bond will go up further in price. Now, why is that the case?
The,
You're, sorry, go ahead.
the seesaw.
Yeah,
Effect.
yeah. I mean, well, yes, and I would also say that when interest rates go down, that 0% bond, its entire return is tied up in that final payment, right? The maturity payment, right? Like whenever the bond matures, like that's when you're going to get your money back. You're not paying you any interest along the way. So you've got a bond that's not, for lack of a better way of saying it, it's not leaking any money. Whereas that 5% bond, that's paying you $50 every year, and that 5% bond, you got when you receive money off that bond, you got to take that money and you're going to roll it back into the market now at a lower rate of interest. So it's not as valuable as having a bond that where its entire return is locked up in that final maturity payment.
Okay.
If that makes sense, great. But here's the thing: if you can remember long and low, they're never going to ask you the why on the low part ever. I've never seen them ask a question about that. So just bottom line, I would just try to remember long and low on that one. But I'm fairly certain on this one they would probably go with D. I'm going to answer one of the wrong answers here, so we can just make sure we come back and look at this and make sure that we cover it, make sure that we're not wrong on it. But yeah, two things together, long and low, and I think they would argue that because the 9 and the 10-year maturity are very close to each other, and then you have a pretty wide spread between the coupon, that the coupon becomes a factor at that point in time.
So long and low has the greatest volatility.
Yep,
Yeah.
long maturity, low coupon every time. Mm-hmm.
Long, low coupon. Okay.
Okay, cool.
They will buy it at the bid price.
Yeah, yeah, that's got to be the answer there. Yeah, yeah, that's how they do it, right? The professionals buy at the bid and sell at the ask. The customers buy at the ask and sell at the bid. Exact opposite, right? Good.
Blue sky.
Good old blue sky.
You should have plenty of that in Colorado.
Yeah, we do. 300 days of sunshine, but yep.
Blue sky requirements applied. It's 1 and 3.
I'm gonna say it's gonna apply to all of them.
Oh, I didn't see one. Damn it.
Yeah. So I mean, here, like the thing with the blue sky is just state, state rules and regulations when it comes to this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Um, so state they're basically the state administrator, which is like the SEC but at the state level,
Uh-huh.
is going to make everyone register that's doing business in their state unless they're exempt, like if it's a government or something like that. So bottom line, if you're like, this is like, I don't think you're going to see too much on blue sky in the exam. You'll see a lot of this when you take your 66. This will be like a whole level of information you have to learn. But I would just assume with blue sky, if you're doing something in a state, you got to register in that state. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll put your hand. We'll come back to that one just to review it.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're a resident. It just doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Like if I'm running a professional practice and I reach out to someone in say New Jersey and I'm doing business in New Jersey, even though I'm not physically there, they're going to make me register in New Jersey for sure.
It should be 1 and 3. They should do it promptly.
Yeah, yeah. Promptly always discovers an error. The Now the question is it 3 or 4? Um, they generally don't like customers sending error reports to the actual representative dealing with the account because they feel like that's a conflict of interest. Because if
When they say representative,
yeah,
I'm thinking advisor.
yeah, it could. I mean, it could be an advisor. It could be like your person. You're the person that maintains a relationship with you. That type of stuff. Yeah.
I just the only reason why you can it's just a client finds an issue, they don't call, normally they call their advisor, they call the
Mhm.
rep, they're not going to
Yeah,
call,
I get it. I get
because they
it.
don't want to deal with Fidelity, they want us to deal with Fidelity.
Exactly. I mean, I think you're right. I think this is one where you might have to think more test world than real world. But I mean,
Some member, so essentially they want it promptly and they want contacting Fidelity.
yeah, they want you. What they're afraid of here, at least the context behind the rules, that they know that if a rep is messing up on something, they don't want the rep hiding it, and it's easier for them to hide it if the customer informs them directly and not the firm. So I think that's where they're going to go. I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll say the member firm servicing an account is what who they want you to notify. But I'll go and go with 103, and we'll revisit and see what they have to say. So yeah,
Which statement is true about the taxation of dividends, interest, and capital gains as a account during the accumulation phase? Everything's tax deferred.
yeah,
Because
perfect.
separate account, they're talking about um, the sub accounts inside of a variable annuity.
Yep, yep. Everything's taxes deferred across the
Yep.
board. Perfect.
American style, which
Okay.
American style is you can do it anytime. You're
Um, yeah, you can do it anytime. Actually, I had to think about this one for a second. Most options are American, yes, but when I say most, I'm really talking about most like stock options.
Yeah.
Index options are all except for the
Oh,
OEX is European. Um, Again, I mean, this is just another example. Past perfect, I think overreaching. I don't think you'll see this on the exam, but yeah, European. I mean, index options are almost always European, except for this one. The OEX is the S&P 100. In case you're wondering, it's the only index option that is American style. The rest of them are European. So that one's a kind of a dumb question, but
but
yeah,
options for the most part Americans, but the difference is American style is anytime, European is you have to wait till the third Friday in that month.
yep. You got to wait till expiration to exercise the option. Now, it
And it
doesn't
has to be done
mean
by 5:30.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd have to exercise. Good, good. Yeah, last time to trade, it's 4 o'clock Eastern. You gotta exercise it with your broker dealer by 5:30 if you wanna exercise it. Yeah, you got it.
And everything takes place at 11:59.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
So
Perfect.
the index options, they're the ones that they pay cash, right?
Yes, they always settle in cash. Always. Yep.
So they're essentially taking the difference between the index and the option, the
Yeah.
strike price.
Yeah, you got it. That's it. So perfect.
It makes sense why you're like I guess European style with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I don't know. It's I mean a lot of times index options are used by fund managers to offset their, offset any kind of risk that they might have or, to make income off their portfolio, et cetera. And just a lot of them don't want to worry about being exercised along the way. So that I mean that's the reason why. They'll never ask you the why, but
I've
yeah.
never seen OEX in the book.
Yeah, you
I've
probably
seen it called Spider.
Yeah, the OEX. I mean, well, so here's the thing: the OEX is the S&P 100, whereas the Spider covers the S&P 500. It's kind of we're getting into like stupid history of finance here, but the S&P. I'll just give you like a 20-second history part here, but and options haven't been around forever. In fact, like in index options in particular are fairly new. I think it was the 80s or 90s that they're first being introduced, something around there. They haven't been around forever. So when the SIBO wanted to do index options, they reached out to the S&P, to the Standard and Poor's, and asked them if they could do an index option on the S&P 500. And the Standard and Poor's was afraid of their image being tarnished if it was like a bad experiment and like no one ended up buying the index option. That they were worried about like brand and like looking bad if the index option market like just wasn't there. So what they said is, hey, we're going to compromise with you. We're not going to give you the S&P 500, but we're going to create this subset of the S&P 500 called the S&P 100. You can trade this. You can do it. Go with this. Go crazy. Hopefully take comes with hopefully people like it, whatever. It ended up exploding, and people now there's a lot of people out there that trade index options. So the OEX was the first index option, is the S&P 100. It was American style. They kept it that way, but everything after that was created was European. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes if that makes sense, but stupid finance lesson there. So
It's always good to know because
yeah,
you just never know.
you never know. They'll never ask you that question on the exam, but
Only index option American style. Just good to right now, just to know.
hmm
Real estate, Chris Paceberg. It's D. Can it be all of them? No,
if they're mm, go ahead.
mortgage is not it.
Good. Good, because that's a REIT, right?
Yeah, because
Um,
mortgage is a REIT. Essentially, that would fall almost into the. You would replace that with the government.
what do you
There's
mean by that?
there's four types of them, isn't there?
I mean, like, are you talking about REITs?
Like the new no, like the new construction, the raw land.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to new construction, existing. I think there's three. I think these are only three that I can think of. I'm trying to think if there's anyone that I'm missing in here. Um, I'm not sure. I think those are the three. I could be missing. I don't know if you have your book in front of you or not, but yeah, that's. I think it's just those three. But a REIT. I mean,
But
sorry,
it is, yeah, it's definitely
a
the
REIT's
first.
just a REIT. It's not a DPP, right? Okay, cool. So we'll go with that.
That'd be alternative investments, probably.
Yeah. So let me know if you can find it.
I'm all curious. An ice cream manufacturer buys a dairy farm.
God,
What?
I forgot about this.
Um, Would it be a vertical merger because they're buying more in the supply chain?
Yeah.
Am I right? Or is it
Yeah.
it's either vertical or horizontal?
I haven't seen this in so long. I had to look it up. So horizontal merger is a merger that occurs between firms that operate in the same industry.
Industry?
So,
Okay, so it's
so
okay.
yeah, but vertical is, let me go back here. Vertical is between two companies that produce separate services or components along the value chain for some final product. So this would this be more vertical?
I'm thinking this is vertical.
Yeah, because they're doing two different things, right?
You're buying, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because I thought
vertical.
I was thinking vertical is almost thinking of it like the supply chain.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way.
It'd be
Again,
it'd be stop. It'd be like when they stopped Henry Ford from buying all the rubber,
yeah, yeah, there you go.
all those rubber
Yeah, I know.
fields.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So we'll put vertical. Hopefully, like we'll remember to come back to this one. We'll see it. Okay.
All the following statements are true regarding the purchase of treasury stock. All of these are true. It's B.
Which one are you saying? Sorry.
Hold on.
No,
The number of outstanding shares they will reduce. No. Hold on.
mm-hmm.
Issued and outstanding. Outstanding will reduce. Issued will stay the same, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
Issued will stay. Authorized is always, no matter what, is always that. Issued stays the same no matter what. It's outstanding will change because treasury stock is just them buying back stock. It's just a
Yes.
buyback.
You got it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the number of authorized, so it's D because I said it. The
For
number
sure.
of shares will
Yeah,
be.
that's it. Authorized doesn't
It
change.
will. It will affect the market price, which will affect the earnings per share.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as I was, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, I think that we'll say like the market price would go up because I mean, in order for them, if they're going to buying a bunch of treasury stock, they're going to be flooding the market with a bunch of buys, which will increase demand. I would say earnings per share are going to increase because they measure earnings per share on an outstanding share basis. So if there's less outstanding shares, they can report a higher earnings per share just through the fact that there's less shares outstanding.
okay.
Okay, so that's a good one to look at. But yeah, treasury stock, we might see a question on it maybe.
Who guarantees an industry
God, what a tough question.
development bond?
Uh,
Who
have,
guarantees it?
have you seen that before? Do you know what they're talking about here?
An industrial development bond.
Yeah. Do you know what they're talking about? STC may not cover this. It's possible. I mean, it's one of those very in the weeds things for the SIE, but
um, is it the MBIA?
Here's normally I would tell you if we're talking about guarantees, the answer would be yeah. Like MBIA. Well, here's the problem I'm running into is that MBIA and AMBAC are both municipal bond insurers. And when you're talking about a bond being guaranteed, you usually want to stay away from the word guarantee when it comes to finance. But guarantee, if you use it with a bond, means that that there's some kind of insurance outstanding on the bond. And MBIA and MBAC are both municipal bond insurers. So I don't think you're going to go with MBIA or AMBAC, to be honest, on this one. Like an industrial development bond, this has happened a lot in Denver, at least like South Denver lately. These are bonds where it's really is a municipal bond, but it's like it's really it's kind of a corporate bond in a way too. you've got a municipality builds like something like a corporate facility or a factory, or like, here in Denver, they built a bunch of like campuses. They built this big campus for, I can't remember what company they did, but let's say they built a big campus, say for like Bank of America. Okay. Build a big campus for a corporation to move into. The corporation, well, to take a step back, issue an industrial development bond, raise a bunch of money, use that money to build a big campus. A corporation moves into that campus, pays a lease payment to the city to use that campus, and then the city uses that money to pay off the bond. That makes sense. So it's basically like a municipality and a corporation together, kind of doing business together. And municipalities do this a lot to encourage businesses to come their way, and it's usually pretty cheap rent that they can give to the corporations that are doing this. So does that make sense what I'm saying there?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to go through it again? I mean, what questions do you have about it?
So it's what's the where are they getting the income from?
They're getting the income from the corporation that moves in and pays a lease payment to the city for using their facility. Because it's technically, like, I'll give you a real world example. Like, this happened in Jacksonville when I lived in Jacksonville. The city of Jacksonville issues an industrial development bond. They've raised a bunch of money from the public, and they use that money to build a sprawling campus for Merrill Lynch. Okay, they build this big campus for Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch moves in, and they use it as their own campus, just like they built it for themselves, and they pay a lease payment to the city of Jacksonville. Hey, Jacksonville, thanks for using this campus. Here's our monthly lease payment. The city of Jacksonville then takes that money from the lease payments and then pays off the bond with that money. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, so it's the corporate leasing.
Yeah, that's who's guaranteeing a couple things. If they do throw a question your way on this, it's usually just understanding that the corporation's kind of the end all be all on this, and they might even ask you, with this is technically a municipal bond, but they might ask you whose credit rating is this thing based on. The credit rating is based upon the credit rating is based upon the corporation's credit rating. Because here's the deal: if the corporation moves out, no more lease payments are coming into the municipality, and then the bond will fail. So credit rating, again, is based upon the corporation, even though this technically is a municipal bond. Okay.
So
It may not even be in your book anywhere. I'm not sure. It probably isn't.
IDR.
IDR? Okay. Industrial Development Revenue Bond is what they might call it, or industrial development something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It might be in there, but very lightly tested. I don't, you may or may not see it. But
Knowing all these different types of bonds is probably going to be a good idea.
yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're talking real world, it depends on what line of business you get in. I mean,
For the exam.
yeah, for the exam, I mean, if you're going to see it on the SIE, it's going to be one question. If you're going to see it on the Series 7, it's going to be one question. It's not the most important thing in the world. So, yeah, I would not expect you to see it on the SIE.
What about all the different types of municipal?
I think if you're asking me SIE wise, I tell you, understand what a geo bond versus a revenue bond is. Understand those. Maybe I mean beyond. To be honest, I don't think they're asking much more beyond just what a geo versus a revenue bond is. It'd be pretty.
Okay.
I mean, when you get to the 7, I don't know. Some of the things I might say will ring a bell, but these are definitely. I feel like this is a lot more 7 territory. But double barrel bonds, special assessment bonds, special tax bonds. I mean, those are. If you've never heard about those, I tell you, wait for the 7. On the SIE, you're not going to see those.
Okay.
Okay.
More options.
Mm-hmm.
Break even point.
Your favorite.
All right, so we need a T-chart. So somebody sold a bunch of shares they don't own of ABC
Mm-hmm.
at 60. So they're out. 60. And then they sold 2 puts at 4. What do they got? So I got 4 there. So just ignore the 2. That doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really, in this, it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, for break even, two. I mean, the fact that you have 200 shares and two option contracts could matter for like gain or loss, but not break even. That's what you're
Okay.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost need to do it. So it's plus minus. So they're out 60, but they've gained 4. 64.
Uh-huh. 64 is the answer.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just want to check in because I mean, you said they're out 60. I would say that I mean, $60 just came into their possession, right? Because they sold short, so they're.
Okay.
You get what I'm
Okay.
saying there? But I mean, but still, like you've got I see a plus 60 and a plus 4. That's going to be your that's going to be your that's going to be the deal there if that makes sense. But yeah, when you for break even, just figure out like is it a plus, is it a minus, add up the numbers, and that's usually going to get you to the right answer.
Okay, for the still short, I don't know why I always think of it that way.
Yeah,
So you're buying shares that you don't have.
you are borrowing shares and then selling them.
Okay.
So I would just think of it as backwards investing. You're
Okay.
selling first and then buying back later, which is really bizarre. I get it. Does that make more sense?
So I'm selling shares. I bought the shares, then I sold them. I borrowed the shares, then I sold them.
You borrowed them. Yeah, you borrowed them. So I mean, you're not the buy is the last thing you do with a short sale.
When you buy it back.
When you buy it back. The reason why I mean it's the reason why it's structured that way is that's the only way you could make money off of the market dropping, right?
Mm.
It's just you're baking in the sale price first. Like if I borrow 100 shares of Tesla stock from Fidelity, I sell it at $300 a share. It drops to $200 a share, and I buy back at 200. You're still looking to buy low, sell high. It's just you reversed what you're doing first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's always a tough part for people to get down. So don't feel bad about it. Also for the SIE, not a huge thing you need to know. I think I don't know how you feel, but I personally feel like a question like this is probably along the same difficulty of that previous option question we saw, but and also something I don't think SIE is going to be too particular on math related questions or number related questions with options. More or
Mhm.
less like who's are you bullish, are you bearish, etc. type of a deal.
I got the right answer.
Yeah, you got it right. There you go.
A customer has a gain on a short stock position she wishes to protect. Okay.
And the short stocks, bake of the devil.
Okay. She needs to protect it against going up.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
She's just going to want to do a buy limit order.
Ooh.
She's going to do a buy stop order.
Buy stop.
But
All right, go ahead.
but why?
So good question. So let's look at this. Let's say the market price is 50. Okay, so we're right here at 50. With we have the gain on a short stock position that she wishes to protect. So just to add to kind of bring it back to this story here, let's say that she sold short at like 60 and now it's dropped down here at 50. So we have $10 gain on her hands, right? Um, the thing is that a, whether or not it's a stop or limit, a buy order will close out the position. So once you buy back, you're done. That's the end of the position. So I'm glad you knew it was a buy, which got it down to A and B. Okay. Now the question is, do you place a buy stop or a buy limit? Now, buy limits are placed below where the market currently is, and a limit order is always seeking out a better price. So like if let's say she wanted to place like a buy 100 shares at, I don't know, at 48 limit, that would be a way of her telling the system, hey, buy me 100 shares, but don't do that until we drop to 48 or below. The problem with a limit order, though, is that if the market goes up, nothing happens. Like this is literally telling the system, don't buy me back the shares until I hit 48 or below. Now, if you place a stop order, like the stop order triggers and starts going through its motions when it hits that price or higher. And I think we talked about this a little bit about how it's kind of a backwards order. Like if you place a buy 100 shares at like 52 limit, a lot of people, I think the untrained eye would look at that and be like, well, why, that's an order that's going to trigger and go through if the market hits 52 or above. Now, market's at 50, why don't we just buy back at 50? Well, I mean, this customer here wants to stay in the position, but they also want to have something in place in case it starts coming up in price and they start losing value that they can get out of it. So that's did I put limit? Sorry. Let me switch that to stop. A buy stop order would fill when the market hits 52 or above. And by doing that, you put that into the system and you're basically saying, hey, I'm giving myself $2 of wiggle room here. But if it goes up to $2 or more, if I've lost $2 per share or more, then I want to get out and I want to lock in my profit that I've made.
It turns into a market order.
Exactly. And once it triggers, yeah.
As soon as it hits 52.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if
So,
it goes 52.01.
mm-hmm.
Or anything, the next price is anything of 52 or above, it triggers it and it's going to go through.
Yep.
Instantly, or the next market, it's going to go instantly.
Whatever the next available price is. So I mean,
Next available price
in the market, I mean, it's going to happen with like literally within a millisecond. I mean, I mean, the market's so fast today, but technically it's a two-step process. So it triggers and then goes through whatever the next available price is, which it would all happen. Like you wouldn't even be able to tell it to the human eye. You'd never be able to tell the difference. But I'm just going to add one other thing here, just real quick. Just might help you for a question like this. But stop orders are always used. I'm going to get rid of the always because there's always an exception, but are used to protect profit or to prevent losses. Okay, that's what stop orders are used for. Okay, that's the main thing that they're used for. Whereas limit orders are used to seek out better prices. I think this is a good kind of way of looking at it here. Limit orders are used to seek out better prices. I'll screenshot this and send it to you afterwards. But I mean, looking at that, does that now make sense? Like what the client's trying to do here?
Yeah, because if she put in a limit order at 52, it's going to execute.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's gonna buy back at that price.
Put in a market order.
Yeah, she wants a little bit more wiggle room, and I don't know. This is more real world than the test, but if she wanted to, she could literally place both these orders at the same time. So if it goes up by $2, buy back, close it out, lock in the profit. If it goes down by $2, and hey, we got a better price, close it out, lock in the profit. So you could place both at the same time if you wanted to. They would call, actually, I guess that is testable territory more on the 7, but they would call that an either or order. So either one cancels the other order. So you're basically putting an order in that says, hey, I'm putting 2 orders in. When one goes through, cancel the other one out. So, okay. Cool. Let me move some of the stuff around and get a better screenshot than what I had before. Let me move this up here. And then let me circle the right answer here, just so if you look at this like 3 days later, you know exactly what the answer was. This would be a buy stop order. Okay, cool. Okay. Before I move on, any lingering questions on this one?
No.
Okay, cool.
A customer buys 100 shares at 110 per share. Par is 100. C.
Undershared performer. Yeah, you're right. I just had to do the math in my head. So yeah, one share would give you $5, so 100 of them would give you 500. Perfect.
Broker dealers are required to report. It is annually.
I can't. It's either annual or semi-annual, and I can't. This is such an in-the-weeds question. I don't know what it is. I'll go with annually. Let's definitely review that at the end and make sure that we go through that. So it's either. I have a sneaking suspicion it might be semi-annual, but we'll look at it.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff here. Yeah. Uh,
oh God. I would be just guessing. B.
That's the one that makes the most sense to me. And I'll be honest, I don't really know. It's either B or D. It's one or the other. I mean, it's a hedge fund. It's unregistered. So generally speaking, the SEC doesn't want the hedge fund talking about like what it is to the public. They'd be pretty wary of that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I usually go with the strictest answer if I don't know where to go. But here's the thing: B doesn't sound bad at all. I mean, if it's a private placement, you could sell it to a small group of millionaires and billionaires if you wanted to. And that makes sense. It's password protected, so the public can't see it. So I agree with you. If I was on the test, I'd probably go with B. I'll be really interested to see what rule they're claiming there, but that's got to be it. Generally speaking, if it's unregistered, the SEC does not want you talking about it to the public unless
Yeah.
it has some kind of an exemption, which, an exemption, I guess this is a kind of an exemption in a way, but they still don't want you talking to the public about it. So password protected websites feels okay. So yeah.
So he buys 100 shares. Put. So he buying a put gives you the right to sell at 50.
Awesome.
So he has the right to sell at 50. That cost him $5. Well, 500, but I'm just 5. So the right to sell at 50. The customer. I know this should be real quick and easy, but God. Okay.
Everything you're saying is right. So
Okay, so I mean, theoretically, what you want is stock to just go up, up, and up, and up. But it could go up and down. So if it goes down to 0, the option he'll make $1 because he bought it. Even if it goes down to 0 and he exercises the option, he'll not taking into account the premium or anything. There'll be 500 versus 490. Hold on. God, this is right. I like math, right? I just need to see numbers.
Mm-hmm.
49 times 100. So he has 4,900. And there's 5,000. So, I mean, if that becomes there's $1,000 right there that he made, but it cost him 500. So it is the maximum potential loss is $500.
I think
Hold on, hold on,
hey, you're close.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me just rethink this real quick.
Uh-huh.
So 100 shares. So he bought 100 shares. So he has $4,900. 50. So there's 100. There's $100. He's gonna make it's 400
Mm-hmm.
because it cost him $500, but he's gonna make $100 by exercising that.
Mm-hmm.
If that stock becomes worthless, becomes zero, he exercised that option. It's $1 more per share, so it's 400.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, you got it there. I think you take your time. I mean, you were saying everything right there. I mean, you noticed that they bought at 49. And if the market goes down, they can exercise the put and sell at 50. So that's $100 back in their pocket. But it did cost them $500 to get this put. So I mean, you said everything right. So I think it's just a matter of taking your time and seeing more of these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A customer has a cash account holding 160, securities holding. Oh no, hold on. Okay, cash account, but there's 160,000 in securities, and well, they're gonna lose 90,000 of the. Which statement is true? Well, cash. So we're at the $500,000 limit total. That's the limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's 500, and it's $250,000 of it can be cash.
No more than 250 cash. Uh-huh.
I hope it's held in street name. Which statement is true? No, they'll cover at least $250,000 for the cash.
Mm-hmm.
It will not cover the total. It will cover the cash, but it will cover the securities too. And that $90,000, they become a general creditor. So it's deep.
Solid. Any questions on that one that I can help
No,
out with? Okay.
no, that's one of those ones that I made sure that I memorized
Yeah.
those bits of it. $500,000, 250.
Cool.
The only thing on that kind of confuses me a little bit is the different accounts.
Okay. So let's cover it. So you're covered on a per registration basis.
Okay.
Which the way I would think about that is like if whenever you throw a new owner in the mix, you have a new coverage. So if we're talking about an account with a like let's say that like you have an individual account and then you have a joint account with a spouse, right? You would have two separate coverages there, even though they're both your accounts. You would have two separate coverages there because there's an additional owner on that new account. They consider that a different registration.
What about IRAs and Roth IRAs?
Good question. With those types of accounts, they have there's different rules in terms of like the way that they're covered, and just they never talk about it on an exam. But I would still consider the same thing. If they, yeah, I mean they would consider those different registrations technically. But I really don't. I've never seen them bring up IRAs with this. Good question though.
Okay, so and what about a trust?
Same thing. Trust would be considered a different registration every time you open a. I mean, if you had 3 different trust accounts open for the same trust, that'd be a different story. But I would consider if it's different trusts, it's a that's
Okay.
if
So,
that makes sense.
so if I have 3 TOD accounts
Mhm,
and then I have a joint account and then I have a trust account,
mhm,
of those 3 TODs, those are going to be considered one.
mhm.
The joint account's going to be considered one, and that trust's going to be considered one.
Yep. Mhm,
So I could have a million TOD accounts, individual accounts,
mhm.
and it doesn't matter. It's considered one as
Yeah.
long as it's registered to just me.
Exactly.
Okay, now
Exactly.
it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, but here's where they're going to try to get you. If I
Okay.
own an individual cash account and an individual margin account, that's one coverage because
Okay.
it's even though they're 2 separate accounts, they're the same. I mean, they're both individually registered in my name. So I think it's just simple to think that if you throw a new owner in the mix, that
New
it's a new coverage. If it's both your individual accounts, then that's one coverage.
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Cool. Cool.
Which statements are true regarding opening a new margin account? Ooh, well, they have to sign the margin agreement. Oh, they don't have to give you trading authority. I wouldn't think. But no, actually, you would. I would think you would have to because they might have to sell securities. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's tough. I'm struggling with this one, but we'll talk about why here in a second. But yeah.
Is it all of them?
I don't.
It's either C or D, I think.
Yeah, I don't think the investment advisor needs to sign a margin agreement unless I'm missing something. This is pretty tough here. I don't think they do. I'm not aware of any rule that would make them do that.
Okay.
But my big question is whether or not they need to sign power of attorney. So let's just look at this. I mean, to me, this is an opportunity to figure like, can we use our test taking skills to figure out like what the answer is? Um, so first and foremost, I'm three's got to be the answer, right? I mean, you can't use a margin account without having a margin agreement signed, right?
Hmm.
Um, so three, so that boil it down to B and C. So if B and C are the answer, are the only answers, then four, and we're confident that four is not, then it's got to be one, two, and three, right? Um,
And they've had to sign an advisory agreement with the advisor.
oops, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, they would have had to have signed an advisory agreement. I'm
Some
not a
some
big.
sort some sort of a agreement with the advisor.
Yeah, some kind of agreement with it. I'm not a big fan of this question because you could retain an investment advisor but not necessarily give them full power of attorney to them. But the bottom line is it's almost like you want to stay within the world they build, and thing is that we know three is the right answer, and there's no way that and we're pretty confident that four is not the right answer. But so let's go with one, two, and three, and we'll review, see what they say afterwards. I think on the seven on the SIE, I think they're going to take a little bit more of a general approach to what an investment advisory account is, and in this type of an account, the idea is that you're handing the drivers, you're handing the capability of trading an account over to your firm, to like a financial professional. When you get to the 66, you'll learn a lot more about the intricacies of these types of relationships, and like you'll learn that, yeah, you don't always need to turn power of attorney to them. Not always. Just depends on the situation. So yeah.
If a corporation has an unfunded pension liability. well, it's unfunded, so it's in default.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Man,
I say this is an SIE question. I
it,
don't remember this in my book at all.
yeah. Here's the thing. I should have told you this about Past Perfect. Past Perfect starts like the way they formulate their finals is that they start easy, they get really tough in the middle, and they end easy. So, and I don't know why. I mean, sometimes some people will tell me that's their experience on the exam, but not always. So we're in the middle of, I mean, we're at question 40, 45 of 100. So we're right in the middle of things. And this is where we're going to see our toughest questions. Don't think you'll see us on the exam, but I mean, when they, I mean, pension. Do you know what a pension is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a pension literally like realizing that, okay, hey, we're looking 20 years out. Yeah, we don't have enough money to make our payments to our retirees, or at least it doesn't seem like we do. Um, so, I mean, you're right on one. Expected payments are in excess of future payments. The only I bet you they're probably going to go with four on this one because I mean you're not quite in default yet at that point when you realize that you just don't have enough money for future payments. I mean it's a problem for sure, but you haven't defaulted until you just can't make those payments. If that makes sense. Maybe you realize that 5 years out we're going to be in trouble, but not right now. Unfunded pension liability is just realizing there might be a problem in the future. So does that looking at that, does that make sense? Any
This
questions about
one, this one, I don't.
that? Yeah.
The expected payments from a retirement plan are in excess of the expected future. Well, yeah, number one's definitely true.
For sure.
So then the trustee must ensure the future funding is adequate. So it's 1 and 4. B.
Yeah, I think it's 1 and 4. We'll review it, make sure that we see it here in a second. And by the way, I don't know if you've been seeing the timer at the top right, but we're about to run out of time here. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I didn't expect us to make it through all 100 questions, but they timed their finals. Um,
Oh, wow.
so yeah, we got about 10 minutes left before it's going to time us out. Then we'll review them and we'll talk about where we go from there. But yeah.
Right. They're not negotiable. Hold on. They're not redeemable
Yeah. Well,
because they're in the secondary market.
yeah. I did think about that for a second. You can exercise them, yeah. Redeemable would mean like you sell it back to the issuer. You want to sell it back to the issuer. Rights are just like options where you can exercise them, you can let them expire, or you can trade them to someone else. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, for kind of.
Okay.
That's kind of a little bit. Marking kind of writes down as
Yeah.
I get it. It gives me the right to sell it, right? To
Right,
sell,
right to buy.
right to buy.
Yeah, rights and warrants are very similar, where they give you a right to buy the stock at a fixed price. In fact, like hang on. Let me bring this up here. Nope, not what I'm looking for. So let me just share the screen real quick, and I'll send this to you after we're done. This is just to give you a good idea of what rights versus warrants are. I mean, they both where they're similar is they're both going to give you the right to buy the stock at a fixed price. You might already know a few of the things I'm going to point out here, but rights come from that whole idea of the preemptive right, where they're going to give you the right to buy new shares the company is offering to the public first. Like you have the first right to buy those shares,
Mhm.
whereas warrants are issued as sweeteners. They're both going to give you the right to buy. It's just where the difference is rights could come with those short term. They're short term and they come with an immediate intrinsic value. So in my example there, like yeah, maybe the market price is 50 and you can buy them they give you the right to buy them at 40. But with warrants, if the market price is 50, maybe the warrant gives you the right to buy it at 60, which doesn't give you, I mean, it doesn't give you any immediate value, but the cool thing with warrants is that they last longer. They last like 5 years, basically. So, but to hammer the point that they're looking at here, rights and warrants both can be exercised, they can be traded, they can expire.
So a right you preempt. So that The only time rights is during an IPO.
Not an IPO. It's when a company is selling more of their authorized shares to the public.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
they need to raise more money.
yeah. That when they're going to raise they're going to raise more money by selling more of their authorized shares, and they're just saying, hey, you're a current shareholder. We're going to give you the right to buy those first from us.
So
So,
they'll send out something to all their shareholders
uh-huh.
and say, "Hey, you got 60 days if you want to do this."
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'll make sure I send that to you after we're done for sure. All right. So let me jump back over here. Cool. So we said redeemable. Cool.
Statements are true about repurchase agreements. Whoa. They're repos, I believe.
Yeah, they're do you see the accept?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, they are repos. You're right.
I just know because I've seen that before.
Uh-huh.
Oh God.
Yeah, we're in tough territory here, but I think good practice for the 7 maybe, but
They're used in open market operation. The Fed is selling securities to deliver.
I mean, I would tell you not to worry too much about this for the SIE. We can
Yeah, I
definitely.
don't know.
The answer looking for is C. A repurchase agreement is when the Fed is buying securities from the banks, and it's very much a loosening thing where they're putting more money into the system. So they're basically giving cash to banks in return for securities, and they're by putting more cash in the hands of the banks, they can you know they can lend out more. Their interest rates will typically drop because there's more cash to lend out, that type of stuff. So yeah, that's the idea there. Just sees the exact opposite. If you switch selling to buying, it's the right answer. So, or I guess not. It's a
Huh.
correct statement, I should say. So let's see if we can squeeze in maybe a couple more.
They pay interest monthly, right?
Not monthly. Now, what you're thinking is mortgage-backed securities, which they do this on purpose, which is so frustrating. Mortgage-backed securities pay it monthly, but a mortgage bond is just a corporate bond that has where there's real estate backed by the. And I'm giving away 3 and 4 here, but it's a corporate bond where there's a corporate facility like a building or a factory that's collateral for the issue.
So it's 2 and 3.
It's 2 and 3. Yeah. Uh, yeah, we're in tough territory. So
A registered representative at a member firm has been elected. Which statement is true? He has to report that to his employer.
for sure. hmm Um, yeah, God. I mean, here's the tough part. I do want to review this question because you report
Yeah.
it to your employer, but also you file it on your U4. So it's kind of in a way you're reporting it to FINRA, but you're
I
not
was
getting
gonna, I was gonna say, yeah, it's gonna go on your U4, but
yeah, yeah.
I imagine the answer is C.
Yeah, I mean, let's put C and see if that's the answer for sure. And we'll come back to it, but I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with this because I mean, they might say, hey, if they're on the board of directors, they might not be getting paid. Well, it doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not. A lot of times, board of directors, you're in charge of how money is spent, depending on like whatever it is you're looking at. So, yeah, that's the idea there. But yeah, bottom line, you got to report it.
Overnight, there was virtually no except. Interest rate risk? It's liquidity risk, isn't it? I don't know. I really don't. I
God,
never.
these are so difficult. I think they're going to go with.
That one's frustrating.
That is frustrating. I mean, risk and
I
principal and credit risk are well. I guess that's like not the same thing. Let's go with liquidity risk. There is interest rate risk because it's possible that the interest rates could change. Interest rates do change sometimes day to day. So, why don't we just come back to that? I mean, I think right now we're just in the middle. If this next question is insane, which it is, so how about this? Do you want me to just submit this and we can review what we've done?
Let me give it a shot.
Okay.
A director of a publicly held company wants to sell 5,000 shares of the company. Company stock at $8 per share, and she's held for 3 months. They're registered, but she's a director. She hasn't held them long enough. But it's a director of a publicly held company. They're registered though, so there is no holding period.
Good.
Um,
Good.
but yes, any sell other shares by director. They still have, yeah, she still has to file the form. It's
Yeah.
A.
It's either A or B to be. I don't. This does fit. There's probably something SDC doesn't even talk about, but there is a de minimis for Will 144. I'll go with your answer here, but if you're selling 5,000 shares or less, with a combined value of no more than $50,000, which I think 5,000 times 8 is $40,000, I think. Then you can claim this de minimis exemption and not have to, and you're not subject to I don't think you're subject to filing. So again, like we're in like really tough territory on this exam. It's going to time us out here. Let's see how we did. How did we do? Okay, we got 38. Okay, let's look at
Wow.
let's look at them. All right, so we knew the first couple ones we already knew. So I think I marked the ones wrongly that I wanted to review with you. So let's just stop on the ones maybe that we get wrong. And if you see any question that I kind of go through that you want to talk about, let me know. Talk about Coverdell's, 529s, primary market, IRA, spousal IRA, the 12,000. Okay, what was this one? Oh, hey, look at you. You were right on this one. If the customer refuses to disclose sufficient financial information, recommendations are still. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, wow. So if the customer refuses to disclose sufficient financial information, recommendations are not permitted. So sorry, like I misread it for you at first. But does this one still make sense? You got to
Yeah.
have their entire. Okay, good. It's the only time you can make recommendations. Custodial accounts, start to the spread with negotiated FIFO and 1099B, which stands for brokerage. Talked about ADRs. Ooh. Oh no! Again, sorry, I
Yeah.
keep forgetting. Okay, now the good faith check doesn't count. Okay, publicly traded funds, blah blah blah. We talked about participating. And then 1, 2, and 4. Collectibles are not allowed. So gold minted coins by the U.S. government are allowed. So that's
Yeah,
just
that
number
was
one.
one of the ones I remember. So yeah,
Yeah. So we talked a good job on the put one here. Nominal yield of the bond. T-bond prices are okay. We knew about that one. Net asset value of the day of death. 12B1 fees, 0.75, and blah blah blah. $40 for the conversion price, as we talked about. Yeah, 1, 2, and 4. So explore. So we talked. There's exploratory. There's which is also called wildcat. There's developmental, which is also called step out. and there's also income, which is called a stripper well. Those are your three buckets, and sometimes you can find a combination of the two, but
Okay.
there's no balanced one.
There's no balanced.
Yeah, I answered this one. Yeah, as I thought, the long and low thing, which we talked about. Long-term maturity, but if you have two long maturities, and there's a big difference in the coupon, go with the low coupon. Um, Bid price, blue sky applies to all four of them.
Hmm.
Do you need me to go back to this one?
Go back to the one back, which was
Should
that
I go
one. I
this one?
was curious as what the.
Oh, with their explanation. Okay, the lower the
Mhm.
coupon, the more volatile bond with the lowest. Uh, yeah, I think this last sentence is really the thing there.
Keep on me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. So keep going forward. Customer discovers an error. They should report to the member firm. The person to whom the report cannot be made is a registered representative, since if he or she is effectively affecting unauthorized trades, then the report just might get quote lost. Again, that's more test form than real world, but still.
See, when you were thinking air, part of me was thinking like a simple air. Like when they're
Yeah,
saying air, they're meaning an air. I'm thinking
yeah,
like my address, like my name's spelled a little bit wrong.
exactly. Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so they
Uh,
mean something's wrong.
mhm.
Okay.
Deferred, a separate account deferred, we talked about. OEX, virtually all index options are European except for the OEX, which we talked about. Those three are the three. Do they mention any other one? Types of RELPs are new construction, existing housing, raw land, and condominium. That was okay, you were right.
That's
There
it.
was a fourth one, the condominium investments. Okay, well, there you go.
And
Um,
I think the condominium is the one is that the government assisted one?
I think it can be. I think it can be. Yes. You might want to double check your book on that. I rarely see condominium investment questions on this exam, but in fact, they keep including here. But I think you're right. Yeah. Double checking your book though. I'll see if I can find anything on my side too.
Can you screenshot that one?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, screenshotted. Cool.
Perfect.
We were right. Verticals were companies in two different industries, but usually related merge. It'd be horizontal if they were exactly the same. So, cool. Talked about treasury stock. Talked about the industrial development bonds, being the corporate leasee, being the guarantor. Option question. We talked about buy stops. Oh, geez, we weren't paying attention here. Annual dividend payment will be $500, but preferred stock pays semi-annual dividends. So it'd be $500 across the year, but 250 per.
So it pays like a bond.
Yeah, pays like a bond, semi-annual interest. So yeah, we missed that. Um, Net capital, yeah, what I thought. So net capital computations are semi-annual. Again, not a. I'll screenshot this and send it to you, but not a big one. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Cool. So this is the one about the private placement. Private placements are typically only offered to accredited investors. These are wealthy, blah, blah, blah. SEC encourages the use of the internet and permits private placements and a Reg D to be offered via the web. However, the offer must be set up on a password-protected website and can only allow access to accredited investors. Okay.
That makes sense in today's world.
Yeah, it does. We talked about this put question, SIPC, the investment advisor question. To open an investment advisor account as a margin account, customer must have a written agreement, customer must give third-party trading authorization, and the customer must sign the margin agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, well, just keep it basic in general for the SIE and the 7. We talked about pension liability. Means that it is common for defined benefit plans to be underfunded, but the plan trustee is responsible to ensure that future funding is adequate as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rights are not redeemable. We talked about why this is just the exact opposite. Fed would be buying securities if they're doing repurchase agreements. We talked about mortgage bonds, what those are, semi-annual. So A, it should have been B on this one. This event must be reported to FINRA. Any outside business activity must be reported to the firm, must be approved by the firm. Furthermore, it must be reported on that registered representative's U4 form and is disclosed in that individual's broker check. Remember, the individual does not have to be paid for the OBA, blah, blah, blah. They don't mention FINRA anywhere in there. This is
I was
why it's
right.
so, yeah, I mean, you only need to report it to your employer. You put it on the U4, but they don't consider you putting it on the U4 as informing FINRA, which is, to me, stupid. That you are informing FINRA when you're doing that.
Can you screenshot that one?
Yeah, for sure. Screenshot it.
Yeah.
Interest rate risk. There's overnight purchase or overnight sales of securities, the agreement to buy back securities the next day at the preset price, the differences in prices and the interest earned for the one-day loan. Extremely safe and liquid. There's virtually no credit risk. Okay, yeah. So they were saying all the following except. Okay, so interest rate risk does apply, liquidity risk doesn't, principal doesn't, credit risk doesn't, because it's just one. That's a one-night loan. Very lightly tested. I'll screenshot it and send it your way if you're really interested, but I want to worry about that question. And then did we get the one on this one? Oh, the de minimis? Yeah, I never answered that one. So I'll screenshot this one as well. It's the de minimis rule for 144. You were right about the fact that it's registered shares, so there is no holding period. However, if it's anything that's 5,000 or less shares that they're selling and it's no more than $50,000 total, they mention that here with the de minimis, permitting a sale every 3 months of 5,000 shares or less worth 50,000 or less without having to file rule in 44 or file form 144. Like I said, I'll screenshot it, send it to you. Don't worry too much about it, Bo. So.
It has to be both of those things.
Yeah, both of those. No more than 5,000 shares worth 50,000 or less. You got it.
Okay.
Cool.
I got everything else right about it now. So.
You did. Man, I'm telling you, like you're ready for the exam. I think with you having the test next Tuesday, I think just a matter of you going through more and more test questions on your own and just reviewing it. I think you're going to do just fine on Tuesday. I get these past perfect. I know probably a few of these questions here rattled you, but again, like I've been past perfect. I don't really introduce it that much, and I wouldn't. If you were the average student, I wouldn't have brought past perfect to you. But it's just one of those things that I just think that they kind of overdo it. And the guy believes that practice should be really tough, and if practice is tough and you can get through practice, then the real test will be a piece of cake.
That made me feel a little bit. Yeah, added some confidence.
Yeah. So hey, yeah, I mean, you did really well on this, and here's the thing: if you went through this on your own, I'm confident you would have passed this 100%. So yeah. But any questions for me about anything I just said or?
No.
So yeah, I think you're good, Scott. I think you just need to see more questions, and if you, I mean, I don't normally say this to most people because a lot of people that reach out to me need a lot of help. But you could probably, I think you could go between now and next Tuesday and pass the SIE with or without my help. If you need me to help you, more than happy to. I'm always here to help. But I really think that you could probably go and take the test and do just fine without me.
Can we schedule something for Monday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost like cramming. Just go over some things, do some questions. Just I don't know. Multiple things.
For sure. Let me look at my calendar real quick. Monday. I mean, are you thinking right around the same time that we normally get together, like 7 your time?
Yeah, if we could do 7, that
Perfect. Perfect works for me.
Yeah, I just give me some more confidence going into it.
For sure, man. Like I said, I'm always happy to help you. I just I always I'm giving you my stamp of approval. But if another night of going through this and working through the confidence is helpful to you, I'm always more than happy to help you, 100%.
Awesome.
So awesome, man. But
awesome.
I'm gonna get all the screenshots together. It's gonna take the video a little bit to render, but I'll get that together for you. And I know I didn't send you an invoice last time just to make it easier to put it all. I'll send you one for last time and this time. And if you have any questions about anything, let me know. And
okay.
If you have any questions about anything over the weekend, also you've got my phone numbers in my emails. Feel free to text me a screenshot or anything if anything doesn't make sense. More than happy to answer anything for you, and I never charge for that. So just let me know if I can help out with anything. But otherwise, I will see you on Monday.
Awesome. I appreciate the help.
All right, Scott. See you then, man.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
What should I do in in the meantime,
Fi-
leading
fi-
up to the exam?
so good question. I don't think you could go wrong just by taking final review. Take a final review. And when I say a final, just like something covering the entirety of the material. If you want to be more, I personally, I think the best way you could approach your last final days before the exam is spend about 80% of your time focusing on the big picture. Meaning, take a final review, and I really think that's the best thing you can do is just see as many questions as you can, which it's gonna feel repetitive, but that's how you're going to get ready for the exam. Take a set of questions that cover everything, whether it's a timed final or whatever they give you in STC. Definitely review it afterwards. Make sure you know where you went right, where you went wrong. And then, as you're reviewing that, you're probably going to get a good idea of the areas that you're weak in. And, for me, it's like, I know that the options, that's one area that you eventually get to the right answer, but you might not feel 100% confident with it. So with the other 20% of your time, with the areas that you know you're struggling in, or maybe just not 100% on, maybe spend some time either going back in the books and rereading a small section or taking a chapter quiz in that area. I think a good 80-20 mix of big picture versus small picture is the best way to approach the exam. But ultimately, just see as many questions as you can between now and Tuesday, and that'll be your recipe for success.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right. No, I appreciate you, Scott. I'll talk to
Have a good
you.
weekend.
Talk to you soon.
All
See ya.
right.
Bye.
Bye.